The two national anthems have been completed then. It is going to be Brazil against Türkiye, the first of two quarterfinals today on another day of Kings World Cup Nations action. And Türkiye, the overwhelming favourites with our Twitch viewers that have been voting pre-match. But before we get started, Simon, and recap those messages pre-match, let's just recap of some of the salient rules that are unique to Kings League.
Brazil against Turkey, who will start off 1v1, including the goalkeepers, who are not allowed to go out of their own box. 1v1, sorry, excluding goalkeepers. As soon as the second outfield player comes on, the goalkeepers can also join the attack. We've seen some pretty special different things as Gerard Piqué, the Kings League president, is in attendance. Here is the Spotify secret cards that are being drawn. We see that Brazil have drawn 50% of their cards have been jokers. The others have been star players, which are actually two very, very good ones. Turkey, a little bit more mismatch, penalty, shootout, and two-time goals.
Turkey have also played a match more than Brazil, lest we forget. That's why they have had 3 cards to Brazil's 2, so the Brazilians might be a little bit fresher, but as Simon said, we will have a new player entering the fray for every 60 seconds that elapses between the start of the match and the 5-minute mark, and after the 18th minute mark we will have the roll of the Red Bull branded dice, as and when we will see how many players will be on the pitch for the final 2 minutes of the first half. But just to recap those messages there, nice first message from Kelvin Oliveira, the Brazil captain, who spoke about his pride at representing his country, what a pleasure it is to represent Brazil at football, and how every Brazilian who's born dreams one day of representing the Seleção. They have that opportunity. He said no one has prepared more or worked harder than the Brazilians. We'll see whether that is indeed the case. We're up and running here, the ball drops down, and it is going to be Brazil against Türkiye.
Ball has to go backwards from this ball drop, and we've seen that Türkiye, I should say, who have done so throughout, trusting the speed of Suad Ak, but it's Oliveira first.
It is indeed. Kelvin Oliveira's got away here, and he punishes Turkey. Turkey claiming there was a foul, but Suad Ak, his complaints fall on deaf ears there, and Kelvin delivers once again for Brazil.
These initial minutes are so important, and once Kelvin was through, there was absolutely no doubt that he was going to bury it. And Turkey here at the moment struggling because Suad Ak has lost the ball again, which means that Oliveira is going to be able to go forwards once more.
He is, and he's so tricky as well, Kelvin Oliveira. Just so comfortable with the ball at his feet, as he's showcasing once again here. He's again worked the shooting angle. Kelvin Oliveira around the keeper, and he deposits it very intelligently into the corner. Suad ran past it, and as Brazil get another pair of hands on the pitch, Kelvin Oliveira with a quick-fire brace to give them the perfect start.
2 chances, 2 goals for the Brazilian number 9. Turkey will be glad to have 2 outfield players on the pitch now. Memos Sosa the second for the Turks.
And Turkey ideally need to score with this possession, but Kelvin goes for the hat-trick, and he misses only narrowly. The goalkeeper was out to try and give Turkey an overload, and they nearly conceded once they ceded possession.
Yeah, Oktay Kazan, who is going to be a crucial role here. We've seen him score before.
That's good goalkeeping there. Türkiye finally getting a shot away. Memos Sosa denied. They will have a corner as we prepare to see another outfield player come on. But again, the goalkeeper is forward. He's got an open shot here. Brazil almost defying him, challenging him to shoot from distance. He decided against it, conscious perhaps that he might be caught out if they lost the ball. Here's Sosa again, and that's easy for Brazil.
Yeah, Memos Sosa, who is never really shy in terms of taking on the strikes there. I think there was an opening for Oktay Kazan to have a go. That's how he scored against Spain, the first goal against Spain in that game. So, little surprised that he didn't take it on the Turkish goalkeeper.
Andres Vaz is now on as well for Brazil. Kelvin nearly lost the ball. In fact, he has given away possession. An opportunity perhaps for Türkiye. Memos Sosa again looking for a shooting angle. He's lost the ball, and Brazil charge forward now. They've got a 2v1. Kelvin would have the hat-trick had he been found. Instead, a simple finish for Andreas Vaz. You can make that 3-0, 3-0.
This Brazilian side are so good. What we're seeing now is exactly why they were considered one of the pre-tournament favourites, and now why they are the overwhelming favourites. This is a Turkish team that hasn't conceded many, and they're 3 down already after just 3 minutes of play.
Big smiles between the 3 Brazilian presidents there. Gaules, who we heard from pre-match, Chris Gates, who will take the presidential penalty today, and Ustijario as well, the intern. In fact, I think they're all taking one each. Ustijario has already thrown the Red Bull dice. He's going to take the presidential penalty as Brazil pounce on the loose ball, courtesy of their goalkeeper. And Gaules, before the match, Simon, had a very stirring message indeed. He spoke about how the fact that they won't be going home today, they won't be going home tomorrow, referring to the semi-finals. He's backing them to win this competition as a whole, and he said when someone falls down, you pick them up. When the ball goes out of play, you charge after it to keep it back in. And he also said as well, when he spoke to us off there before tonight's action, that whilst Kings League is new, what we are seeing is games such as futsal, which Brazilians grow up with, they have it in their blood, very conducive to playing this game effectively.
Really interesting character, Gaules, the Brazilian president. I think that's something he said as well during that speech, very rousing speech. You know, Brazil is a footballing nation. You're born with that kind of thing, just to echo what you've just said, Patrick. And that's exactly what we've seen here. Brazil just dominating the game and a little bit more comfortable with the rules. And
they nearly scored a 4th there. Davi apologising to Kelvin, but the captain saying, no, you were well within your rights to go for goal there. We're 3-0 up. He did all of the creating of the chance himself down this near side. And what a start it's been for Brazil. But we shouldn't overlook the fact that throughout this week here at Kings Arena in Milan, we have seen some dramatic comebacks. We saw Uzbekistan 3-0 up against Peru, then they went 4-3 behind, and Uzbekistan needed a very late goal with the last kick of the game to win 5-4. So there can be these dramatic drop-offs and swings in the scoreline. Türkiye hoping that comes to pass here. All he had to do was apply the finish. He was offside in any case.
Yeah, it's something that we saw yesterday as well, with Morocco completely outplayed by the United States of America for large parts of their quarter-final. Before, Morocco were helped particularly by that late goal by Nadir Lua. But Türkiye have got to keep their heads here. That's going to be one of the big issues. They've got to get themselves going. I wouldn't be surprised to see an early president penalty or shootout in this case.
Onur Saglan there with the foul, and just a warning from the referee, you don't want to have a player booked, because that means a 2-minute sin bin. But Brazil, for once, have been careless in keeping the ball. Memo Sousa with the good vision. Outside shooting chance here. Instead, he tried to take it past his opponent, but Wembley was there to snuff out the danger.
Türkiye just waiting to get themselves going a little bit. Memo Sousa, who I actually spoke to after the game against Spain, said that Türkiye had done really well in that game to stay true to their own values, which were togetherness, strength in defence, being aggressive on the ball. We're not seeing very much of that at the moment, and you just feel that they might need to settle a little bit, but the problem is they're 3 down.
Goalkeeper didn't call for that, and that's why it's smashed up off the roof in the end. So Brazil needlessly conceding the ball deep in their own territory. Türkiye mischievously trying to take a free kick on the edge of the box. We do restart with a throw, which is a long one, and then cleverly shielded out of play by Lipao Pinheiro. So Brazil very comfortable here after those quick-fire 3 goals to begin. Kelvin with the first 2, and then he was there making that run just to give an extra option to Andreas Vaz, who then exploited his teammates' run to slot it into the corner past Oktay Kazan, who had been the goalkeeper, had made the most saves. I don't recall him making a single stop so far in this quarter-final.
No, but you have to say he's not been helped either, Patrick, because when you see the first goal, Suadat goes to ground looking for a foul. You can't do that in Kingsley, particularly as we've seen the referees are quite happy to let the 50-50s go. And Marsosa does well there.
But psychologically, Simon, I think that challenge came inside the first minute, didn't there? There was that hope of maybe a player being sin-binned, and then them having literally a 2v1 situation with just 2 players against the goalkeeper. A goalkeeper and an outfield player, had it indeed been seen as a foul in the opening 60 seconds, but it wasn't. He went down too easily, and that's what allowed Kelvin to score. Here's Memos Sozer again.
And then the second one, PK, is actually one where Suadak has the ball. He needs to take kickoff. He's got a limited time to do so. The time runs out because he's arguing with the referee, and before you know it, Kelvin has already scored the second. So these are little things that Turkey need to cross out, but now it's 6v6 outfield players, so you've got to play against the Brazilian might all together.
Indeed, and as you said, that fine margins, but they do compound into something more significant. But Brazil gave the ball away. Was that a foul? It was. It's just going to be a free kick, despite the pleas of the Turkish player, led by Onur Saglam, asking whether that did indeed constitute a yellow card. But Brazil, just occasionally being a bit careless in possession. The last thing they want to do here is give Türkiye a route back into the match. As you said, could be that momentum shift as and when they take the shootout, which will replace, I believe, the presidential penalty.
If he does bring him down, he clips his heels like that. It's a 3v1 going forwards for Türkiye.
It is going to be Chechim. Well saved by the goalkeeper, had a good line of sight, watched it all away, but still needed to produce the save and, crucially, push it out of play.
Yeah, but that might just get Türkiye going. You know, you never know. Not the kind of team that are going to give up, Türkiye, that's for certain.
Brazil do benefit as well from the fact that a lot of them have known each other a long time. That's what Gaules told us pre-match. Barata in particular, the goalkeeper, is someone that Gaules has worked with before. And here go the Brazilians. He's going to need to wait for reinforcements to arrive. He's kept it in play well there, but in the end just ran out of room, did Choco, alias João Victor.
You know, the funny thing is, when we watch Kings League football, we're only 9 minutes in, 10 minutes really, but when we reach the 18th minute mark, Patrick, you already think, what's the best thing for Türkiye? Do they want a 1v1 or 2v2 where there are more goal-scoring chances, but it's always difficult against Brazil, or do you prefer just chancing your luck 6v6? And a reminder as well that in case you need a motivational playlist or you want some new tunes to get yourselves going in 2025, then please go check out the Kings World Cup Nations playlist made by your favorite players and streamers, everyone pitching in for that one. That's on Spotify, one of our partners, and we thank them.
Yeah, you're right, Simon. Ordinarily, I would say you want as few players on the pitch as possible so as to have those shooting chances. But when you're up against the technical Brazilians, and they gave the ball away again here, we saw it earlier on, Kelvin was not only better 1v1 going forward, he also had the presence of mind defensively to get the better of Suadak. So I would say against any other team, you'd almost want 1v1, no goalkeepers. Against Brazil, maybe a 2v2 or a 3v3 all told.
That was sloppy, I think, from Brazil's point of view, because they need to bury the game here, the Brazilians.
They can indeed put the game to a bed, but not anytime soon because of all those unique rules about Kings League. No particular advantage is big enough, you would think, because goals can all of a sudden count for double with the secret card with those final 2 minutes. But of course, trailing 3-0, Türkiye are a long way behind here. They need a period where they can have the game settled. They arguably need to score a goal as well, just to give something to the Brazilians to think about. But Brazil again pursuing another goal here with Leleti, who forgot the ball in the end, much to the relief of the Turks.
Another big factor which we probably haven't discussed is that these Brazilian players know each other so well. A lot of them play for G3X FC, which is actually Gaules' team in the clubs, Kings World Cup clubs. And there's also a couple of players who play for Furia as well, whereas the Turkish side play for Limon. That's one of the big ones. But there isn't that same team cohesion, and I think you can see it in the early exchanges.
And indeed, those players, along with Gaules, because of their club exploits, as Brazil go forward again, they are additionally motivated here. They're driven by revenge. They were beaten in the final of the first ever edition of the Kings Club World Cup, as Kelvin dashes into the box. Now for the Kings World Cup Nations, having lost to Porcinos in that final, they now want to win as a nation, the nation of football, as you correctly pointed out earlier, Brazil.
It's been one of my big questions as well to the streamers throughout, you know, the week and a half that we've been here, is does it mean that much more because you're wearing your national jersey? And actually, Gaules, that's something he said to us. Yes, of course, it's so great to win the clubs, and I think that's been a massive part so far of the success here, is that you're representing your country, so you are going to give maybe that 1 or 2% more, but that often makes the difference as well.
Yeah, and behind that goal, which is being defended by Barata, I can see not only a Brazilian flag, but also the standard of Santos, which was the team of Pelé. And here go Türkiye dashing forward. But it has been exactly the way Brazil would have envisaged it, how they would have visualized this game panning out. 3 early goals without reply. They haven't looked like conceding. Türkiye have barely laid a glove on them, and something needs to change dramatically for this match to shift.
Yeah, we're in the 14th minute here, Patrick. Memos Sosa asking Türkiye to play the ball around, but they've given it away.
Leleti looking for Kelvin. He assumed he had a teammate behind him because the cross was a little bit too high for him. Thumbs up nonetheless for the idea, as Gaules, Chris Gates and Ustejario, the intern, all watch on. Presidential trio, the Brazilian triumvirate there. But we already saw 2 teams progressing yesterday. Colombia easily. We had a very one-sided quarter-final to start. Colombia getting the better of Uzbekistan by 6-1, and then a very tight game between the United States and Morocco. Who knows whether we might see something similar? There is some symmetry in terms of our first quarter-final today so far has been pretty one-sided. It's whether Türkiye can bridge the gulf. They're under pressure again defensively. But that second quarter-final today, Simon, looks a lot harder to call. Here goes Suadak, though.
Suadak, who didn't have enough teammates around him to try and make the difference. But PK, what an amazing statistic this is. Oktay Kazan, in his first 3 matches, has conceded 5 goals, and in the space of just 4 first minutes here, he's already conceded 3.
And he's about to concede a 4th. Leleti, it is slotted home. Wellington gets the goal, and Brazil now add a 4th. They were queuing up there, and Wellington takes the applause here. Hearing the adulation from the Brazilian presidents. Gaules beating his chest on that Brazilian crest as well. And they won't be letting up here. They're keeping their foot on the accelerator. Wellington with a cool finish.
No, but this is exactly what I was expecting. Actually, after the 3rd goal went in, Türkiye calling for the president penalty, which will be a shootout, not a penalty, because they need to get themselves on the scoreboard. They need to try and make something happen. So we haven't seen this often at all, that the president penalty is used in the first half of play, but Türkiye have to get themselves going, PK.
They do indeed, and as you said, it's not going to be a presidential penalty, it's going to be a shootout, which means it is delegated to a player on the pitch. And therefore, it means one of these Turkey outfield players, Suadak, who's taken the ball, is going to have to dribble from the centre circle towards the opposition goal. He has 5 seconds to score, and he needs to try and get the better of Barata.
Suadak, who netted against Ukraine in match 1 from the shootout. And just a word quickly, because Brazil have immediately responded to the president penalty with a president penalty of their own. So this is big pressure being put on by the Brazilians, who could actually be 5 up if Ak misses this and they score.
Here goes Suadak then. Easy for Barata. That was pretty shocking in the end. The shootout not going according to plan, and already trailing 4-0. Türkiye have now missed their shootout. Sloppy from Swad, and Brazil have a big chance.
Big chance for Brazil. Ak just loses his footing at the crucial moment. And now a massive opportunity for the Brazilians in the next break of play for the president penalty to be taken and scored.
Indeed, the player who's warming up has on the back of his shirt, it reads like Stag, but I can tell you it's got nothing to do with a male deer. It is Stagi, which is short for Ustejario, the intern, the trainee. He's one of the 3 presidentials presences there. One is Gaules, who we've become very familiar with, Chris Gates, who took one the other day, and now it's the turn of Ustejario, who threw the Red Bull dice during another fixture yesterday. and now he's going to have the chance. Kelvin with a few words of advice and some encouragement too from the skipper, because if this goes in, I think we can already start to plan possibly for Brazil being in that second semi-final, provided Estajário scores. He needs to get the better of one of the best goalkeepers, if not the best, in the tournament, in the shape of Oktay Kazan. Big pressure then.
I don't think any of the Brazilian presidents have actually missed so far.
It is going to be Estajário into the top corner, and that is why they are una sal do futebol, because Brazil are the home of football and they are feeling at home here in Milan. They now lead by 5 goals to 0.
People, make possible play, okay?
Oktay Kazan just having a word with the referee because he felt that the Brazilians were delaying the restart of the game a little bit too much. Really beautiful penalty. We can just see the replay of it there. Gaules and the Brazilian presidents and streamers absolutely loving life at the moment. And I think it's safe to say that we will probably be speaking to Gaules after the game, PK.
You would hope so, and he's very fluent in English as well, so we look forward to getting his insights not only on what is coming to pass here against Türkiye, but also their prospects. That was an ambitious attempt, meantime, from Wellington. Their prospects against the winners of Mexico and Argentina later on. By the time we speak to him, Simon, we'll also know who Brazil, if they were to beat Türkiye, and it's not all completely sewn up yet, we'll get his thoughts on what to make of their semi-final opponents. But first, they need to complete the job against Türkiye. It would take a dramatic turnaround for this game to be, indeed, flipped on its head.
More than anything, I just don't think Türkiye have showed us anything. They've been sloppy on the ball. They've not really created too much chances. I mean, look at that again. So risky. I guess you have to take risks, but anything that could go wrong for Türkiye so far has been going wrong.
Andreas Vaz teeing up, another teammate, good save though. They needed to keep it out. Davy unable to score, but otherwise that was 6-0. And Türkiye at least taking some encouragement from that. Their streamers and Preston watching on back home.
Eraen is the president, unable to travel to the tournament, and it's a drone that's down. The drone has been brought down.
Well, that was amazing. As crossfield ball from Davici. It was Kelvin calling for the ball. There was the perfect weight on it. And we did speculate about that earlier this week as to whether the drone would be taken out. I watch a lot of YouTube golf. It's often fraught with danger there, albeit that's a much higher trajectory. And the drone was flying too low, sort of the opposite of Icarus. You fly too close to the sun and your wings get burnt. Well, this was the drone. How good is that?
The Brazilians are too quick, even for technology. That says how good they are.
Kelvin! That would have been special. Controlling it on his chest, and then an improvised finish. He very nearly steered it past Oktay Kazan. That would have been almost too much to take for Türkiye. We're now just 30 seconds away from the rolling of the Red Bull dice.
Oktay Kazan. Look at this from Brazil, who continue the high press. They've won it back.
Here's Kelvin, another save, 2 in a row from Oktay Kazan, and but for him, Brazil could already be out of sight. As it is, they have 1 foot in the semi-final, but the Türkiye keeper showing why he was one of the players we picked out as the stars pre-match.
Clock being ticked down, and now we will have the roll of the energized Red Bull dice, which is going to be done by a very special guest. Spanish presidents Spurzito y Adri Contreras are going to roll this one for us, and Nadia Lua is there on the left, and the roll isn't the best, but it is going to be a 2v2.
So that's just like, correct me if I'm wrong, Simon, the opening 60 seconds of this match when we have 2 players all told, an outfield player plus a goalkeeper.
I believe that is correct. And
this is where I need Thomas Lawrence, isn't it, to be absolutely on point with the rules. As you can tell, Simon and I are new to Kings League. We have studied the rules, but bear with us if we get it wrong. I'm delighted to say that there are 2 Brazilians out there. There's no keeper, They're taking a chance, Brazil, given that they've got the lead, whereas Türkiye have sent out that man Swad again and a proper keeper.
And this is what we were speculating about a little bit earlier on, because if Türkiye need a way back in the game, it's now. They need to get as many goals as possible whilst keeping Brazil very quiet in the next 2 minutes. Suedak is very quick, and it's Leletti, I think, who's trying to get it with him.
It was Leletti. The ball's gone out of play. Now Brazil make a change. They want to get Barata on, the goalkeeper. Türkiye now making a change of their own. I think that's a shame, really, because I would have preferred to have seen Oktay Kazan try and shoot with the goal unguarded, but instead they now go to two outfield players. This is Memos Sozer with Swadak away to his left. Swadak with all the time in the world. He's hit the post. It just won't go in for Türkiye. Swadak can try again, or he can use Memos Sozer. He finds the captain, the skipper, takes his time, and does finally convert. Türkiye on the board. How they needed that goal. Memos Sozer with the strike.
That's big from Türkiye, but the biggest element is now, because Oktay Kazan has got to keep the follow-up from Brazil out. Brazil, who are going to have to move the ball a little bit quicker than that, or they might lose possession to Türkiye. There was a check ongoing. The referee said it's okay, and it's Kelvin on the ball, and more often than not, you know what that means.
Kelvin, indeed, using his colleague away to his left to try and outfox the defender. Needs to stay on side as well, Kelvin. And had he latched onto that, he would have scored, but it was just slightly overhit. Disappointment, really, because Lipau's cross was a touch heavy.
This is big, very big for Türkiye, Patrick. If they can get another one here, if they can come out of this 2-minute period having reduced the deficit to just 3, with a secret card to come in the second half, who knows what may happen? But it's a big, big if.
It is a big if, but it's what you were talking about, Simon. Here's Swadak with the time to measure a finish. Again, he was caught in two minds. We've seen that before. No foul by Kelvin. The goal is unguarded. Calamity for Türkiye. It's yet another goal for Kelvin. That's going to be his hat-trick. And Brazil are running away with this one.
I think Suedak needs to change his boots. He's slipping all over the place. Here's Memos Sozer. I think there's a VAR check to see if there was a foul in the build-up. It was difficult for us to tell from there. Is he clipped?
Nothing wrong with that in my mind. And indeed, we play on. Memos Sozer, they need to score here, Türkiye. Again, they've gone with the two outfield players, but that is fraught with dangers. We've just seen Swadak does convert. And it is 2-1 in this period.
It's offside.
It won't count, the flag is up. How disappointing for Türkiye. We're into added time here. 30 seconds, and Brazil can now take their time over this. Kelvin is going to wait again for another colleague. Andreas Vaz wearing 10, and if Brazil score here, they could go in at half-time leading by 7-1, which is remarkable. Kelvin then. Does he go for goal himself? Does he try and tee up Andreas? Here is Andreas. Tempted by the shot, Kelvin has time and space, and he never misses from there. 4 goals for Kelvin Oliveira. It's 7-1. Tá frio, tá muito frio, pá. 7-1 Brazil at the break.
It is full throttle, an unbelievable understanding of the rules. Turkey are stunned into silence. Look at the atmosphere there on the Turkish bench. They don't know what to do anymore. And from 5-1, it's ended up being 7-1, and you're tempted to say all but over.
And let's talk about Brazil's attacking potential first. We'll hear from their coach.
Eles estão querendo muito o jogo e vai sair contra-ataque pra gente. Vamos jogar nesse 3-2-1, a gente vai voltar com o mesmo time que a gente sempre começa. O Wembley,
Lipão, Lelete, os que estão descansados, Jefinho,
Rufino e Choco. Vamos lá, vamos lá. Não perde, não perde.
Galera, 20 minutinhos.
Ei, vem aqui, ó.
20 minutinhos.
Onur, sol tarafta Berk, sağ, ortada Hasan, Memoş, Aytür und Furkan. Tamam?
Tamam. Zieh sofort die Karte auf.
Nicht erstmal noch reinkommen?
We've heard then from the two camps Brazil in complete control here, thanks to 4 first-half goals from Kelvin Oliveira as part of 7 all told, including their presidential penalty, which was scored. We saw the Türkiye missing their presidential penalty in the form of a shootout. The second half is about to get underway, and it would take an almighty collapse now from Brazil, Simon Harding, for anyone other than Brazil to make it through to that semi-final.
It would be the upsets to end all upsets here if Türkiye were able to turn this around. I don't think they have the mental fortitude to do it, Türkiye. They just look completely lost, and simple things are not happening for them.
Here goes Lipão. And again, Shoku leading the line, but we need to talk about Brazil's attacking potential. I was about to comment on it until we then heard from their head coach a little bit earlier on, which is Victor Taubi. But they scored 16 goals prior to this game. They'd scored in their first 2 matches 7 and 9. They've got another 7 here. That's now 23 goals across 3 matches. Well, 2.5, in fact. We're only just beginning the second period.
Yeah, and, you know, you wouldn't put it past them to reach double figures in this game as well. Brazil, they've been so good. And to be honest, I'd say, Patrick, they haven't really stretched their talent. They've just navigated the game so much better.
I completely agree, and it just shows, doesn't it, the talent that is on display as well. That's a good try, Barata making the save down at his near post, but Kelvin Oliveira has been, for me, the best player in this tournament. 4 goals in this first half. He just seems to have a swagger around the pitch, the way he carries himself. Barata has hurt himself there in plunging to his right and making the save. Secret card on the way, incidentally.
Yeah, secret card, which is being played by Türkiye. Let's see what it's going to be. I think the only thing that can help them at the moment is to have a player suspension and play the 4 minutes in with an extra play. Even a penalty or shootout doesn't really help them. But Kelvin Oliveira, just to come back to that, is said, Patrick, to be the overwhelming favourite for the next Corona de Oro, which is the equivalent of the Ballon d'Or in Kings League, and you can tell why.
Yeah, a fabulous talent, and the leader of this side as well. It's not just that he scores the most goals, it's also that he's involved in everything Brazil do. He's a good motivator. We heard his speech pre-match, and he can also turn provider when required too. Memo Sousa poking it through, cut out easily by Wembley, who we still need to ask as to why he's chosen that particular nickname. We do know of the weird and wonderful nicknames that exist in Brazilian culture, particularly prevalent in football culture as well. But Türkiye look a little bit lost out there. Someone needs to step up and inspire them. And if you do get that player suspension, Simon, who are you taking off? Surely it's got to be Kelvin.
Has to be Kelvin. Although, if you want to be ultra ambitious, you take off one of their 2 centre-backs in the hope that you destabilise them defensively. Let's have a look. What's the Spotify secret card going to be? Joker! Now, do you steal Brazil's to take their secret card away from them? That would be also a play.
Oh, I've not seen that done before. That would be great.
You are allowed with the Joker card to steal
penalty has
the Brazilian
selected.
card and the penalty. I'm surprised by that, because even if you score, you go to 7-2, you're still 5 behind, and the way that Türkiye have been playing, they don't really look like scoring at any given time.
It is going to be Telly who's going to, no, Chechim, who's stood over this, wearing 11, up against Barata, needs to score. Must find the net here. It is Chechim, it's into the roof of the net. A proper penalty that, 7-2.
Talk about a confident penalty there, Patrick. Thought the net was going to come off with that one. Big save, but still the point is valid in my opinion. You're still 5 goals down. I think with a player suspension, you were in with a chance of possibly scoring more against a team that had a man down.
So Brazil have conceded for the second time. Nicely converted penalty there from Chechim to make it 7-2, but the cushion is still 5. And were it still be to this extent the lead come the final 2 minutes of the match, it would require an improbable 3-0 period in the final 2 minutes of play, plus added time when goals are worth double for Türkiye to improbably win this match. That would see them go from 7-2 down to 8-7 winners, but on this evidence you just can't see it coming to pass. You feel they need to eat in further to this deficit.
They need to eat into it a lot more, and they need to throw caution to the wind.
But we've had so many celebrities drop by over the course of this week, the first ever edition of the King's World Cup Nations. We saw James Rodriguez yesterday, Wes McKennie was here as well. We've got Gerard Piqué, the man who came up with the entire idea as a whole. He's here today as Brazil look to score again. Now Türkiye on the counter. Nicely worked here, but then having cut back inside and created the space, he curiously went back on the outside and gave Brazil a second chance to defend.
Yeah, surprising move there. I think the cross was on initially. These are the sort of things Türkiye have got to navigate better.
That was ambitious, but worth a go there from Cecim. He's just scored a penalty. It sat up invitingly on the volley, and at this stage, any shot will do for Türkiye. 5 goals behind.
Here's Lipao. Türkiye, Patrick Still, they're pressing a little bit higher. That's reckless, though. You could easily be given a yellow card for that.
Here's a chance for Kelvin, and it's put home. Another simple finish for the Brazilians, working the 2v1. Leleti with the goal.
The goal and a celebration to match as well. A couple of somersaults there. It's samba time from the Brazilians. They are absolutely loving life. Türkiye are down and out.
Yeah, it's just becoming more and more embarrassing, almost humiliating now for Türkiye. 8-2 behind. And once again, there was the opportunity to score himself, but Kelvin showing he's equally adept at assisting as well as scoring. And having scored 4, he's now teed up his colleague Leleti, who loved it, and showing his faith there as well, which is particularly prominent.
It's exactly what you were saying, though. Kelvin is such a team player, though, PK. You saw it there. And the difference was, Türkiye had a similar chance moments ago. The pass wasn't given, or wasn't given good enough. Brazil do, Brazil score. And if you are fancying a little bit of a trip to Southeast Asia, then look no further than Air Asia Move. It's your favorite travel companion across the region. Couple of trips, lovely opportunity, so many places to see. If I could pick, then I would probably go to Vietnam or Laos. So rich on history, and as you know, PK, I am a little bit of a history geek.
Yeah, I'm quite keen on Japan. That would be my next destination. It's just whether I can afford to go, but maybe with Air Asia we can sort something out for me, a special discounted ticket. Who knows? Secret card on the way. We've seen Türkiye, they played theirs. They had a penalty, having initially drawn the joker. They scored the penalty, and now Brazil, presumably, if you're Brazil and you get a joker, you would probably choose a penalty yourselves as well and just try and inch further clear of Türkiye, but we don't know what card is about to be produced. We'll find out very shortly as and when the ball goes out of play, which could be now. Instead, they've kept it in. Kelvin Oliveira again charging forward. He was pulled back, no foul, says the official. And maybe Türkiye again, Swadak just taking too many touches, too much time. Kelvin has it again. Once more he felt he was fouled. The challenges are flying in now. It does go out of play, and here comes the secret card.
Yeah, let's have a look at what Brazil are going to draw, and a reminder that Türkiye had that joker, so whatever Brazil have now, Türkiye could have stolen, and the worst thing for them would be a player suspension, because this would become a massive score. It is the penalty, so penalty chosen by Brazil, and an opportunity perhaps for Kelvin to get his 5th, I think it would be.
Indeed, he's nodding along there, Kelvin, because just had a word with his colleagues. A glance sufficed, and it does look like he is going to be the man charged with trying to further increase this already healthy lead for the Seleção. And Kelvin also has his own personal objective, which is namely to finish as the top scorer in this competition. He's got some pretty tasty challenges, the likes of Obe Martinez and, of course, Nadir, who is in the house tonight as well. But I fully expect
Nadir
Kelvin
has
to
8
convert.
PK, so I think Kelvin would move ahead now.
Big puff of the cheeks from the Brazil number 9, Kelvin Oliveira. Into the corner it goes. He waited to see if the goalkeeper would commit himself. He didn't commit himself. Tá frio, pá, tá gelado. Ice cool again from the skipper.
A celebration that's been made famous in the United Kingdom by Cole Palmer of Chelsea, who does that every time he scores. Kelvin Oliveira embodies that ice-cool composure to absolute perfection.
4 goals in the first half for Kelvin. That's his first of the second. Brazil having won 9-2 against Germany, now lead 9-2 against Türkiye. They beat Korea 7-4 in their opening match. That's already looking like a very good result for any opponents to Brazil. We should be giving perhaps Korea more credit for the way they kept the Brazilians quiet, but they seem to have found a new gear. Andreas Vaz with the creativity. But in the end, Brazil couldn't make that attack work out. But again, the determination to charge back and win the ball, fabulous again from Maicon.
Powerful running once more. Speed now.
This is Davigi. Good challenge, an important sliding challenge there to keep Rufino quiet. And they're celebrating now every challenge. That's what it's all about. We know about the flair and the poise and the tricks that the Brazilians possess, but it's also about that determination too to go and win the ball.
We're talking about that 9-2 scoreline against Germany. I think that's the biggest scoreline we've had at the tournament, if I'm not very much mistaken. So any extra goal without response from Brazil would mean this would be the biggest scoreline so far.
It would, albeit as a caveat to that, 2 of those goals counted for 4 in the latter stages of the game. So yes, they technically only scored, I think, 7 that counted for 9. Here they've now actually scored 9 in their own right, and if they were to score in those final 2 minutes of play, then goals will definitely be worth double. But here's another chance. They're making this look so simple. The goalkeeper, the stand-in keeper, Semir Chakmakchi, has got egg on his face, and he's presented Rufino with a very easy goal. Double figures for the first time in the Kings World Cup Nations.
This is going to be a very, very, very long 8 minutes 30 for Türkiye, who, yes, were the underdogs, but we never expected them to be swept aside the way they are being swept aside. This is total football from Brazil.
It is, and they just saluted the 3 presidents there, the team of Gaules, Chris Geddes and Ustajario. But they are getting acclaim from all 4 sides of this Kings Arena on the south side of Milan. A reminder of what it's all about, the first ever edition of the Kings World Cup Nations. This is our 3rd quarter-final. The 2 semi-finals will be played tomorrow here in Milan, and then the grand final plus the Legends against Streamers game will both be played on a Sunday at Allianz Stadium, the home of Juventus Football Club. More than 40,000 fans will be in attendance for that. A performance from Mahmoud, who is a famous Italian artist as well, internationally recognized. And it's Brazil who are going to be 1 step away from that grand final on this evidence, but they'll need to get the better of the winners later on of Mexico and Argentina. Our first semi-final has already been set. We saw it yesterday, Colombia beating Uzbekistan, Morocco getting the better of United States. And that first semi-final in particular, Simon, to me looks very tight. I know you're a big fan of Colombia, but I am a huge supporter of Morocco.
The way the Moroccan fans have been behaving and congregating and putting the atmosphere here, you're tempted to say you'd love to see Morocco in the final for that, but I do think that Colombia have been excellent. And the drone is also back out there on the pitch and noticeably flying a little bit higher than it was when it was brought down.
Thank goodness for that. Presumably it's a replacement drone. I doubt they would have been able to fix the first one that was now kaput. But yes, Alejandro Ortega in particular is one Colombian player who's really caught the eye.
Here's Memo Sosa, captain, who has looked a little bit frustrated out there.
Ordinarily, you would say here, if you're Türkiye, try and throw caution to the wind, as you said, go gung-ho, try and score goals to get back into the match. And whilst that is true, you don't need to be too close come those final 2 minutes, theoretically, because we've got 2 minutes plus added time where goals are worth double. So if you could have a flurry of goals, say 3 or 4, penalty. So that could be a game changer. Brazil switching off, the assistant on the far side nodding in acknowledgement. It was the referee that gave the decision. And all of a sudden, Chechim, who scored his previous one following the secret card, is now going to have the chance to convert what looked like a stonewall spot kick, Simon.
Yeah, you can see the right foot here, which goes across, catches the boot of the Türkiye player. And this will make it 10-3. We're talking about Türkiye throwing caution to the wind, but at the same time, they probably don't want the scoreline to be too embarrassing either. I think at this stage, the game has gone. Let's see what happens. But first, this penalty, PK.
And it's no longer Barata between the sticks. They've mixed things up, the Brazilians. Barata was beaten by the previous spot kick. It is going to be Cechim again. Cechim steps up and scores once more. He's at least doing his bit for the Türkiye cause. It's back to 10-3. João Pedro went the right way, but couldn't keep it out.
The way he's taking these penalty kicks, you wonder why he didn't take the shootout early on, which maybe could have changed things for Türkiye, because they, of course, missed their. Suedak missed Türkiye's shootout, and then Brazil scored their president penalty. That was a key moment in the match as Memo Sousa tries to reclaim the ball.
This is Davici off the post, still a chance, smashed over by Wellington. But I think what we're seeing here, Simon, is the fact that Brazil, yes, they have a massive population, 300 million or thereabouts. They also have a huge, deep-rooted footballing culture. And it's pretty much, I know you're a big rugby union man, it's pretty much a similar sort of scenario when it comes to football. There are just so many talents. There's a huge, deep talent pool when it comes to Brazil, and we're seeing that here, that they could almost name a second 7 out here, a third or fourth string side, and still beat most countries or be starters for any other nations.
Absolutely, and the thing is that the difference in the quality of the players is there to see, the 1v1, the technical ability, and it's especially in this game, it's able to unlock situations. I think for many years, to echo what you were saying, Rio de Janeiro was the main talent pool in the world, recently overtaken by Paris in terms of producing those top players.
Yeah, France producing more players in the Champions League than anyone else, thanks to their fairly unique youth development system, which I've been party to myself, not as a player, but as an interpreter. I can speak from first-hand experience the great work they're doing, so much so they've outsourced their expertise to Major League Soccer in the US, and we saw some of those American talents yesterday, albeit they bowed out in agonizing circumstances against Morocco. Brazil have conceded the ball here. They've given away possession. The angle is against Cechim, but it doesn't stop him from getting a hat-trick. 3 on the bounce from Cechim, and what a hit that was.
Well, 3 minutes to go. It's 10-4, and you're thinking, had Türkiye been just a little bit more solid, had those key moments gone a little bit better for them, they could potentially have been in with a shout. I still think it's far out of reach now.
But all of a sudden they have a bit of hope. If they could score again, then they would still need to win that final 2-minute period by 3-0, albeit this time it would actually be worth a victory by 11 goals to 10. It's hugely improbable, but Brazil have just switched off, and that's a clever dummy. Had there been someone behind him and no one called for it, it was instinctive from Cechim. Simon, you and I have played a lot of 5-a-side football in Milan, 7-a-side football in Milan, and what you can notice is occasionally when you build these big leagues, you just instinctively think, maybe even unconsciously, we've won the game, you switch off. We might be seeing that with Brazil. We are now into the final 2 minutes of play. So for those of you who are new to Kings League, this means that goals are worth double. It's not just 2 minutes, it's 2 minutes plus added time. So occasionally it could be as many as 4. But because Türkiye trailed by 6, they would need to score 3 times without reply to make it 10-all. And then we would have a shootout where players dribble from the centre circle. 5 of those per side, as we saw in the way that United States against Morocco was determined. But it's improbable, it's hugely unlikely, especially if Brazil score once, then we can say it's game over.
100%. And I think that was the first and only shootout that we've actually seen in the competition, the one against USA and Morocco, a fitting end to what was a thrilling match overall. Suedak will be the player to sprint out here for Turkey. He's the speedster, but Lilletti for Brazil has got pace of his own. Although he stepped off the line there, that's something you can't do. You have to stay behind the line. And let's see here.
Kelvin's going to go after it. He's certainly saying something, Kelvin.
Still the lights, 5 lights to go, and once they switch off, that is when you sprint out. Suedak for Turkey, 100%. Brazil have stepped off. And they've just conceded possession to Türkiye.
Well, an interesting ploy there from Kelvin and his colleagues. Now they're going to get their defensive shape and ask Türkiye to break them down, not once, not twice, but 3 times, just to make it 10 each. The odds are heavily stacked against Türkiye. Brazil are overwhelming favourites to go on and win this quarter-final, but there will still be some tension. We saw it etched on the face of their presidential trio, Gaules, Crisquets and Ustejario. That's a lovely ball over the top. The first touch was excellent. They want another penalty, Türkiye. They've already had one. That was optimistic. Now Kelvin pulling the strings again. That's a heavy touch, though. He got away with it, Wembley. Brazil don't want to give Türkiye an early goal here. They could get some encouragement.
And just a reminder that you can vote for our player of the match on Twitch. And if you're wondering how to do that, it's very simple. All you need to do is type in the name, and mine would be Kelvin.
And he's already got upwards of 90% of the vote, Kelvin, but hang on. This could be a goal for Memo Sousa. Big save. João Pedro coming up clutch to make the stop. Memo Sousa left one in there. The goalkeeper made a meal of it. Hopefully it's not a yellow card, it is, and that ends any residual hope that Türkiye had of getting back into this match. The skipper's been sin-binned. He'll be out for almost everything that remains here. And personally, I don't think João Pedro necessarily needed to do that. Yes, he was waiting as long as possible to waste a few vital seconds. Did he really get a kick? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, but Memo Sousa should be a little bit more clever there as well. And you made a reference to rugby union before. As we see in rugby, the yellow card is accompanied with a time penalty here at Kings League, which just adds all to the fun. It'll be 2 minutes here for Memo Sousa, who, as you said, Patrick, will be out for the remainder of the match.
Off he goes then, Memo Sousa, which will be hugely deflating for him. He would have liked to have been on for the final whistle. He still might, as we are about to find out how much added time there is to come. 3 minutes, so Memo Sousa will be able to come back on once his 2-minute window has come to an end. A rare stray pass there from Kelvin Oliveira. Here's Jechim, who's the only Türkiye player to emerge with some credit, but he's lost the ball. And now Shoku charging forward, waiting for a teammate to join in. Leleti, who's caught the eye. So too is Lipao. Here's Kelvin Oliveira trying to cut inside and get a shot away. Goalkeeper does well to prevent a corner, but again, Türkiye for this second half have given Semir Çakmakçı an opportunity to play, probably conscious that the game is already beyond doubt. They have won a free kick here after that challenge on Furkan Ars.
Every touch of the ball from the Brazilian players being accompanied by an ole by the Brazilian presidents, who are taunting, very gently taunting, the Türkiye side in the remaining seconds of the match.
Well, Jechim has scored a hat-trick, 2 from the penalty spot, 1 from open play. Now tries his luck with another set piece. It is Jechim, struck it with power but no precision. The ball goes out of play, and we've still got 90 seconds or thereabouts of added time. Coming next, though, Argentina against Mexico. Argentina featuring Sergio El Kun Agüero. There's Kelvin, there's another goal. It's a dozen for the Brazilians, and believe it or not, it is 7 for Kelvin. 6 goals that are worth 7.
Absolutely phenomenal performance when you need your star man to step up. Kelvin certainly did so. His speech pre-game was good. His actual play during has been off the charts. It's the biggest win we've had so far at the Kings World Cup Nations. Brazil, 12 goals.
And as they say in the country that birthed the Kings League, he's a crack, quite simply. He is a superstar, Kelvin, and he's shown it once again here. And if anyone is to beat Brazil en route to winning this competition, they're going to need to shackle Kelvin, who's now pulling out the Rabona. Kelvin gets to the loose ball first. It will break the way of Rufino. They want a 14th goal, Brazil. They don't get it because the shot is saved. Nice try from Shoku.
Brazil not letting off right until the end.
Kelvin! Good save.
Oh, my word.
That would have been his best goal, and he's already scored 7 of them. And even Gaules was shocked by the force behind that effort. That's a great piece of skill. Nearly put into the top corner. They're enjoying themselves. That was Li Pao turning on the style.
Just toying with Turkey at the moment. They're absolutely toying. That was a good ball, actually, as it happens, from Memos Sosa.
And with that, the 3 added minutes have come to an end. The biggest winning margin we've seen in the Kings World Cup Nations, and it comes in a knockout match for the Brazilians. The Seleção win by a remarkable scoreline, 12 goals to 4 in the end. Kelvin Oliveira leading from the front. He got 6 all told, 7 as it counted, because one of those has scored in the final 2 minutes. Cecin with a hat-trick for Türkiye in a losing cause. And now we're going to see who meets the Brazilians in the semi-final. Mexico and Argentina getting on court. But we will leave you very shortly with the highlights of this match.
What a huge statement win from Brazil that is. In the quarterfinals, it's not in the first game or in the second game. This is actually Brazil toying with what has been one of the best defenses, one of the most physical teams as we go through the post-match statistics. Expected goals, 4.14 for Brazil. They end up with 12, which just outlines as well the quality of their strikes. Just the flair has been off the charts in the game as well. They really turned on the style at the end of the match. Turkey as well, with expected goals of 3, 2 of them were from the penalty spot. That's quite good. Brazil into the semi-finals. Morocco, Colombia on the other side of the draw for a place in the final. And it'll be either Argentina or Mexico against Brazil.